Listen to me. You've been trying everything. Money, status, validation, relationships, but nothing fills that empty space inside. You keep seeing success, but you still wake up tired in your soul. You know why? Because your spirit is starving. You've been feeding your body, feeding your ego, but you haven't fed your soul. You want peace, you want clarity, you want real strength. Then you've got to stop depending on what's temporary and start depending on what's eternal. That's what spiritual development is about. It's not religion, it's relationship. It's you connecting to your creator, your purpose, your higher self. See, success without spiritual growth is just noise. Yeah, it looks good, it sounds good, but it won't last. You'll have the car, the house, the followers, but you'll still be broken inside. When you grow spiritually, you don't chase things. Things start chasing you because you're aligned. You're walking in purpose, not pressure. When I was homeless, I didn't have money, but I had a conversation with God that changed everything. He told me, son, you're not done. You're in development. And that's what some of you need to hear right now. You're not broken. Your the storm you're going through is developing your spirit. You can't fake spiritual growth. You can't post it on Instagram. You got to live it every day. You've got to discipline your mind, guard your heart, and stay connected to your source. Because when the lights go off, when people leave, when life hits you hard, your spirit is what keeps you standing. So I'm challenging you today. Stop running from yourself. Stop running from God. Start developing your soul. Feed it with truth, prayer, gratitude, and purpose. That's where real power begins. The solution isn't outside of you. It's already inside of you. You just have to wake it up. You got to understand something. In this life, we've been trained to chase things. From the time we were kids, we were told success was about how much you could get, how much you could own, how much you could show off. We were told that happiness comes when you get that car, that job, that big house, that new phone. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way. You can have everything this world has to offer and still feel empty inside. Because possessions don't fill the soul, only connection does. I remember a time in my life when I was chasing everything that looked like success. I wanted people to respect me, to notice me, to say, Eric Thomas made it. But every time I reached one goal, there was another mountain waiting. I get to the top, look around, and still feel incomplete. I thought success was about collecting trophies, degrees, followers. But no matter what I gathered, it never gave me peace. That's when I realized something powerful. You can't buy connection. You can't earn it through hustle. Connection is a choice, a spiritual decision to align yourself with something greater than the material world. When you start focusing on connection over possession, you begin to live differently. You wake up not asking, what can I get? You stop measuring your worth by your wallet and start measuring it by your growth. See, possessions are external. They can be taken from you at any moment. But connection, that inner bond with your creator, purpose, in your higher calling, that's eternal. That's the thing that keeps you grounded when the world shakes around you. Most people never get this. They think peace is something they can purchase. They think joy comes in a package or a paycheck. That's why so many people with money are miserable. Because possessions can only satisfy for a moment. You get the thing you dreamed of, you post it online. People applaud, and then what? The applause fades, the thrill disappears, and you're back to searching again. That's because you're feeding your ego, not your spirit. You're chasing connection through possessions, and it will never work. I'm telling you, there's a reason your spirit feels restless even when life looks good on the outside. Because your soul doesn't want more stuff. It wants meaning. It wants love, truth, peace, and purpose. When you build a connection with your creator, when you start walking in alignment with your true calling, you realize that everything you were chasing was just a shadow. The real prize is peace. The real reward is knowing who you are and why you're here. When I was sleeping in abandoned buildings, I didn't have possessions. I didn't have a car, a bed, or even food some nights. But I had something that no one could take from me. Connection. Connection. I had a conversation with God that changed everything. I stopped complaining about what I didn't have and started connecting with the one who could give me what I needed. I started praying, listening, and aligning my actions with my purpose. And that's when everything began to shift. Opportunities came, strength came, clarity came. And when the blessings started to show up, they didn't control me because my peace wasn't in the possession, it was in the purpose. You got to make that shift. You've got to stop living from the outside in and start living from the inside out. Stop living from the inside out. Stop letting your possessions define you. Stop thinking that the next thing will finally make you happy. It won't. The car won't drive away your insecurities. The money won't erase your pain. The house won't fill your loneliness. Only connection can do that. A deep spiritual connection that reminds you that you are more than your achievements. And listen, I'm not saying possessions are bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't want a nice thing. I'm saying they should never come before your peace, your purpose, or your spiritual health. When you put possessions above connection, you lose balance. You start making choices based on ego instead of purpose. You start chasing what looks good, none of what's right. But when you put connection first, everything else falls into place. You begin to attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments because you're aligned with your truth. You want to know what real wealth is? It's waking up with peace in your heart. It's being able to look in the mirror and know you're walking in purpose. It's knowing that even if everything around you falls apart, you're still standing because your foundation is spiritual, not material. That's wealth that can't be stolen, can't be destroyed, and doesn't depreciate with time. I've met people who had everything, fame, money, power, and still felt like something was missing. And I've met people who had almost nothing, but they glowed with joy and peace. The difference wasn't what they had. It was what they were connected to. One was living for possessions, the other was living through connection. One was empty with everything, the other was full with very little. So ask yourself today, what are you connected to? Are you connected to your creator, or are you just connected to your comfort? Are you chasing things that can fade, or are you investing in what lasts forever? Because your connection determines your direction. When you're connected to purpose, you walk with confidence. When you're connected to your values, you make decisions that build your future instead of breaking it. When you're connected to your spirit, you rise even when life knocks you down. There's a power that comes from connection that possessions can never give you. When you're spiritually developed, you can lose everything and still not lose yourself. You can face storms and still stand strong. You can experience pain and still have peace because your identity isn't built on what you own. It's built on who you are and who you belong to. Too many people are spiritually bankrupt, but materially rich. They've invested everything in their image and nothing in their soul. They built big houses, but empty hearts. They've got followers, but no faith. They've got style, but no substance. And the worst part is, they think they're winning, but real winning starts when you stop trying to impress and start trying to impact. When you stop trying to collect things and start trying to connect live. So here's what I need you to do. Start developing your connection. Spend time in prayer, meditation, gratitude, whatever brings you closer to your creator and your purpose. Listen to that still small voice inside that tells you who you really are. Stop letting social media define your success. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Focus on growing your soul, not just your status. Because once you find connection, you'll never go back. You'll start to see everything differently. You'll realize that every blessing has a lesson and every challenge has a purpose. You'll stop trying to control everything and start trusting the process. You'll start to appreciate what you already have instead of chasing what you don't. And that's when life becomes full. That's when peace becomes natural. That's when you start living, not just existing. Connection over possession, that's the mindset shift that changes everything. Because when your spirit is full, you don't need things to make you feel worthy. You don't need validation from others to know your value. You walk differently. You speak differently. You love differently. You lead differently because you're not operating from lack. You're operating from overflow. So I'm challenging you today. Don't just build a life that looks successful. No, y'all being successful. Build a life that feels peaceful. Don't just chase possessions. Chase purpose. Don't just collect things. Connect to your source. Because when you do, you'll discover the real secret of life. That everything you were searching for outside was waiting for you inside all along. That's spiritual development. That's growth. That's the solution. Real strength isn't found in the gym, in a title, or in a bank account. Real strength is something deeper. It's not the muscles on your arms, it's the muscles in your spirit. You can lift weights, you can train your body, you can build your resume. But when life hits you with something you can't see coming, the only thing that keeps you standing is your inner strength. That's what separates people who fall apart from those who rise up. It's not what's outside of them, it's what's inside. There are people walking around looking powerful, nice suits, luxury cars, big houses, but the moment life gets hard, they crumble because all that power was on the surface. It was an image, not an anchor. But then you meet someone who doesn't have much, who's faced struggle after struggle, and yet they smile through the pain. You look at them and wonder how they do it. How do they keep going when everything around them is falling apart? The answer is simple. Their strength doesn't come from circumstances, it comes from spirit. They built something inside that no storm can destroy. That's what inner strength really is. It's when your soul has been through enough battles to know that giving up isn't an option. It's when your faith becomes stronger than your fear. It's when you stop reacting to every situation and start responding with wisdom and peace. Because you've learned that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control what happens inside you. I remember when I was at my lowest point, homeless, hungry, hopeless. I had no money, no degree, no direction. On the outside, I was broken, but something inside me refused to die. I told myself, I can't stay here. This isn't the end. And I kept moving, not because I had strength, but because I found strength in my spirit. I talked to God. I reminded myself of who I was. And I realized that real power isn't about control. It's about endurance. It's about trusting the process even when the process hurts. You see, physical strength can be taken away. One accident, one sickness, one loss, and the body weakens. But spiritual strength only grows with resistance. Every hardship is like a weight for your soul. When you lift it, you become stronger. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every betrayal, they're not there to break you. They're there to build you. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. The pain is not proof of weakness, it's proof that you're still in the fight. Inner strength doesn't shout, it whispers. It's not loud or flashy. It's quiet confidence that says, I've been through worse, and I'm still here. It's the peace that comes when you realize you don't have to win every battle. You just have to keep showing up. It's the faith that says, even if I can't see how, I know why. I know there's a purpose behind this pain. Some of you think you're weak because you cry. You think you're weak because you feel. No, that's not weakness, that's humanity. Strength isn't the absence of emotion, it's the ability to move forward despite it. It's getting up every morning when your heart is heavy and still choosing to give your best. It's forgiving when it's easier to hate. It's staying calm when life hasn't been kind to you. That's strength. That's power. You can't build inner strength by living an easy life. You build it through pressure, through failure, through storms. Diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is refined through fire. Don't run from the heat, let it shape you. Every trial is a test, and every test is a tool to reveal who you truly are, who you truly are. When life gets hard, instead of asking, why me? Start asking, what's this teaching me? Because growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in challenge. When you build your inner strength, you stop being reactive to everything around you. People can talk about you and you won't break. Plans can fail and you won't fold. Because your peace isn't dependent on perfect circumstances. You've learned to be still in the storm. You've learned to trust your anchor, your spirit, not your surroundings. That's power no one can take away. Think about it. Storms come and go. Seasons change. But a tree with deep roots doesn't fall because of the wind. It bends, it sways, but it stays grounded. That's what inner strength does for you. It gives you roots so deep that no matter how strong the wind blows, you don't lose your foundation. The world can shake you, but it can't move you. You may bend, but you won't break. Too many people are trying to appear strong instead of becoming strong. They hide behind masks, pretending everything's fine while they're falling apart inside. But pretending isn't power. Healing is power. Growth is power. Facing your fear is power. You've got to be willing to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Because true strength isn't built when everything's going right. It's built when everything's going wrong and you refuse to quit. Sometimes God allows life to strip you down so he can rebuild you stronger. You lose people, you lose comfort, you lose control, and it hurts. But through the pain, you discover something sacred. You're tougher than you thought. you start to see that your joy, your peace, your purpose, none of it depends on what's around you. It's been inside you the whole time, waiting for you to activate it. Inner strength is quiet confidence. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need applause. It's not about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's walking away from battles that don't deserve your energy. It's knowing your worth even when others don't see it. It's the calm in chaos, the patience in pain, the faith in uncertainty. That's real power. When you find that kind of strength, life changes. You stop needing everything to go your way. You stop begging for peace because you already have it within you. You stop chasing validation because you know who you are. And you stop breaking down over things that used to destroy you. You outgrow fear, you outgrow doubt, you outgrow weakness. Not because the world gets easier, but because your spirit gets stronger. The truth is, life will never stop testing you. There will always be challenges, losses, and disappointments. But the goal isn't to live without struggle. It's to learn how to struggle without losing your joy. Inner strength doesn't mean life gets lighter. It means you get stronger. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become a victor through resilience. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who've been through the darkest nights and still wake up shining. They've cried themselves to sleep and still smile in the morning. They've been betrayed and still choose to love. They've been broken and still believe in healing. That's the strength I'm talking about. The kind that doesn't come from comfort, but from courage. So if you're in a hard place right now, don't despise it. Don't think it means you're weak. You're being stretched, you're being refined, you're being prepared. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your soul. Every disappointment is a chance to deepen your faith. Every delay is training your patience. You're not losing, you're learning. You're not falling, you're forming. You're being developed into someone who can handle what you've been praying for. The world measures strength by what you can lift. God measures it by what you can endure. The world says power is in dominance. The Spirit says power is in discipline. The world says strength is about control. Your soul says strength is about surrender, letting go of what you can't change and trusting what you can't see. That's the level of strength that transforms lives. When you master your inner world, the outer world can't shake you. People can doubt you, life can test you, but you'll keep moving forward because your strength doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from conviction. It's not built on emotion, it's built on faith. And when your faith becomes your foundation, no storm can destroy you. So I'm challenging you. Stop chasing out of validation and start building inner power. Start developing your soul. Feed it daily with gratitude, prayer, meditation, reflection. Guard your mind from negativity. Protect your peace like it's gold. Because once you find that inner strength, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easy, but because you become unbreakable. Inner strength is real strength. It's what allows you to walk through fire and come out shining. It's what allows you to fall and rise higher. It's what makes you resilient, powerful, unshakable. You don't have to wait for life to be perfect to feel strong. You just have to decide that nothing will break your spirit. Because strength isn't what you show the world. It's what keeps you standing when the world isn't watching. And once you find that strength, you'll never lose again, no matter what life throws your way. Growth doesn't come in comfort, it comes through struggle. Everybody wants to grow, everybody wants to level up. But the moment life gets uncomfortable, the moment the pressure rises, people start backing out. They start asking, why is this happening to me? Instead of understanding that growth requires resistance. You can't build spiritual, emotional, or mental strength without friction. Every challenge you face is not there to break you. It's there to build you. You are being shaped, refined, and developed into the person you're meant to become. But it only happens when you stop running from the struggle and start learning from it. Think about it. A seed has to push through the dirt to become a tree. It has to be buried first before it can rise. That's struggle. That's growth. And it's the same for you. Sometimes life buries you under responsibilities, heartbreaks, failures, and losses, not to destroy you, but to plant you. You've got to stop seeing struggle as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Every time you go through something hard, something inside you grows stronger, wiser, deeper. You can't develop patience without delay. You can't develop courage without fear. You can't develop faith without uncertainty. I remember the times when I thought struggle meant I was doing something wrong. I thought that if I was on the right path, everything would be easy, everything would flow. But I learned that's not how it works. The struggle is proof that you're on the path. It means you're moving, you're stretching, you're stepping out of what's safe. And when you stretch, there's going to be pain. When you grow, there's going to be discomfort. But that pain is necessary. It's a signal that you're evolving. You see, comfort keeps you the same, but struggle transforms you. When life is easy, you don't think deeper. You don't question your habits. You don't evaluate your purpose. You don't grow spiritually. But when life hits you, when you lose, when you fail, when you cry, that's when you look inward. That's when you discover strength you didn't know you had. That's when you turn to your faith. When you start listening to your spirit instead of the noise around you. That's when you grow. Some people want the reward without the process. They want wisdom without experience, strength without pain, blessings without breaking, but it doesn't work that way. You've got to go through something to get to something. You've got to be tested before you can be trusted. And the people who try to skip the struggle end up fragile because they never built the roots to hold their blessings. The higher you want to go, the deeper your roots must grow. And that happens only through struggle. Look back at your life. Every major growth moment you ever had came after a period of struggle. Maybe it was losing a job, ending a relationship, facing rejection, or fighting through failure. That moment, it felt like the end. But looking back, you can see it was the beginning of something greater. The pain forced you to move, to think, to evolve. The struggle was the very thing that shifted your mindset and shaped your soul. That's how God works. He uses your struggle as soil for your growth. You can't become who you're meant to be by staying who you are. Growth requires change, and change requires discomfort. That's why life keeps pushing you out of your comfort zone. You're not meant to stay where it's easy. You're meant to rise where it's hard. The people who grow spiritually are the ones who don't give up in the struggle. They lean into it. They say, yeah, this hurts, but it's teaching me something. This is heavy, but it's building my strength. When you face struggle with the right mindset, it transforms you. It refines your priorities. It teaches you humility. It builds empathy. It gives you wisdom that comfort could never provide. You start to see that your greatest strength was never in avoiding pain, but in enduring it. Because every struggle teaches you something new about yourself and about life. It reveals your faith, your resilience, and your purpose. Some of you are going through things right now that you don't understand. You're questioning everything, asking, why me? But I need you to hear this. It's because you're chosen for something bigger. You're being prepared for the next level. The struggle is shaping you into the kind of person who can carry what's coming. If you quit now, you'll miss the version of yourself that the pain was trying to reveal. Don't let your struggle be wasted. Grow through it. Every storm has a reason. Every delay has a design. You may not see it right now, but one day, you'll look back and realize that the struggle was your greatest teacher. It taught you discipline, patience, courage, and faith. It stripped away what you didn't need so you could become who you were meant to be. That's spiritual growth. That's the kind of development that lasts. And here's the truth. Struggle never really ends. Once you overcome one challenge, another one comes. But if you've grown spiritually, it won't break you the same way. You'll handle it differently. You'll face it with wisdom instead of fear. With faith instead of frustration. You'll stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity. Because once your spirit matures, you stop running from problems. You start growing through them. The most powerful people on earth aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fell, broke, healed, and stood taller than before. They're the ones who use their pain as purpose, their losses as lessons, their struggles as stepping stones. Every scar became proof of survival. Every tear became fuel for transformation. That's how growth works. When you're in the middle of the struggle, it's hard to see the lesson. It feels chaotic, unfair, confusing. But even when you can't see it, something sacred is happening inside you. You're being refined. You're being refined. You're being stretched beyond your limits. You're learning to depend on something greater than yourself. That's what spiritual development is. Trusting that even the pain has a purpose. Don't waste your struggle by complaining through it. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you to let go. Maybe it's teaching you to have faith when everything looks dark. Every struggle has a message, but you gotta listen. You've got to slow down and let it shape you instead of trying to escape it. You can't rush growth. A flower doesn't bloom the day it's planted. There's a season of silence, of darkness, of waiting. But in that unseen season, roots are forming. Foundations are strengthening. So don't mistake delay for denial. Your struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. You just can't see the progress yet. That's why you got to keep showing up, even when it hurts. You got to keep believing, even when it doesn't make sense. Because your struggle is molding you into someone extraordinary. It's giving you the endurance to handle blessings that others can't. It's giving you the strength to inspire others who are walking through their own darkness. Your story will become someone else's survival guide, but only if you don't quit. So the next time life gets hard, don't say, I can't take this. Say, this is making me stronger. Don't pray for the struggle to end. Pray for the strength to endure it. Because when you come out of that season, you'll be wiser, tougher, more grounded, and more connected to your purpose than ever before. You'll realize that the struggle was never against you. It was working for you. You can't grow without struggle. You can't rise without resistance. The same pressure that breaks some people builds others. The question is, who will you be? Will you let the pain define you, or will you let it develop you? Will you stay stuck in what happened, or will you use it to push you toward who you're meant to become? Growth through struggle is the only way to lasting transformation. So embrace it. Don't fight the process. The pain you feel today is the strength you'll stand on tomorrow. The tears you cry now will water your future. The nights you endure in silence will lead to mornings of clarity. Everything you're facing is shaping you for something greater. Remember, life without struggle is a life without growth. So don't pray for an easy life. Pray for a strong spirit. Don't ask for the mountain to move. Ask for stronger legs to climb it. Because when you finally reach the top, you'll realize it wasn't the view that mattered. It was the strength you gained along the way. That's what growth through struggle is all about. Becoming who you were always meant to be. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless demands, silence has become one of the rarest and most powerful gifts you can give yourself. Most people are uncomfortable with silence because it forces them to face themselves. It exposes what they've been avoiding. It reveals the truth buried under busyness. But if you want to grow spiritually, if you truly want peace, you have to learn how to sit in the silence, because that's where clarity is born. That's where you hear the voice that guides you, the one that doesn't scream like the world, but whispers deep in your soul. We live in a time where everyone wants constant stimulation. Phones buzzing, screens glowing, notifications never ending, and yet people wonder why they feel lost, anxious, and drained. You can't hear divine direction in chaos. You can't feel spiritual alignment when you're surrounded by noise. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. It's the space where your soul speaks. And until you make peace with silence, you'll always be searching for peace in places that can't provide it. There was a time in my life when I couldn't stand being alone with my thoughts. I had to have music, conversations, distractions, anything to keep me from facing myself. Because silence felt heavy. It felt uncomfortable. But that's exactly where growth began. When I finally allowed myself to sit quietly, to disconnect from everything external, I began to reconnect internally. I realized how much I had been running, not from people, but from me. The silence didn't destroy me. It healed me. It showed me the areas of my heart that needed attention, the wounds I buried under achievement and activity. You see, silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means being still enough to listen. It's creating space between you and the world's chaos so you can hear what really matters. When you enter silence intentionally, you begin to see yourself clearly. You recognize your patterns, your emotions, your fears. You start to understand why you react the way you do, why you chase what you chase, why you avoid what you avoid. Silence is a mirror, and for many, that's terrifying. But that mirror is also your greatest teacher. When you quiet your surroundings, you start to tune into something higher. The noise of the world fades, and the frequency of your spirit rises. That's where divine ideas are born. That's where creative solutions appear. That's where peace flows in. You don't need a crowd to find clarity. You need stillness. The problem is we've been trained to equate silence with emptiness, but it's the opposite. Silence is where God fills you. It's where your energy resets, your vision clears, and your purpose strengthens. Some of you are praying for answers, but you're too busy to receive them. You keep asking for direction, but your life is too loud to hear it. God doesn't always shout. He often speaks in the still small moments. That's why silence is sacred. It's not just absence of noise. It's the presence of peace. When you step into silence, you step into alignment. You give your spirit the space to breathe. And I get it. Silence can be uncomfortable at first. When you sit alone with your thoughts, all the pain, guilt, doubt, and fear start rising to the surface. You begin to feel everything you've been suppressing. But that's part of the process. Healing begins when you stop avoiding what hurts and start listening to it. The silence doesn't create pain. It reveals it so you can finally release it. You can't fix what you refuse to face, and you can't hear what you refuse to be still for. When you practice silence regularly, something amazing happens. Your awareness expands. You start noticing details you used to miss. You start hearing your intuition louder. You start recognizing which thoughts are yours and which ones are lies you've been believing. You begin to separate your ego from your essence. And the more time you spend in silence, the stronger your spiritual connection becomes. You begin to realize that silence isn't loneliness. It's connection. It's communion with your creator. It's that sacred space where you stop performing and start being, where you drop the mask, the roles, the expectations, and return to your true self. Silence is where you remember that you're not just a body chasing achievements. You're a soul seeking purpose. The world tells you to hustle, grind, move faster, but your spirit is saying, I'll slow down, be still, listen. Because if the devil can't destroy you, he'll distract you. He'll fill your life with noise so you never have time to reflect. He'll keep you scrolling, comparing, consuming. So you never stop long enough to hear what God is trying to tell you. But when you choose silence, you take your power back. You say, I'm not going to be a slave to noise. I'm going to find strength in stillness. And let me tell you, it's in those quiet moments that breakthroughs happen. Not when you're talking, not when you're planning, but when you're listening. When you finally let go of control and surrender to silence, you start receiving insights that your mind couldn't figure out on its own. Some of the greatest transformations in your life won't happen during action. They'll happen during stillness. When I started practicing silence daily, my entire life shifted. I began waking up early before the world's noise could touch me. I'd sit in gratitude, prayer, and reflection. And it was in those moments that clarity came. Ideas I've been struggling to find suddenly appeared. Solutions to problems I thought were impossible became clear. I realized that the guidance I've been searching for was never outside of me. It was always inside, waiting for me to quiet down long enough to hear it. Silence doesn't just connect you to your spirit. It also teaches you control. It teaches you that you don't have to react to everything immediately. You learn to pause, to breathe, to choose your responses instead of being driven by emotion. It gives you power over your mind. Because when you master silence, you master patience. And when you master patience, you master peace. There's a strength in silence that the loud will never understand. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to defend yourself. You let your peace speak for you. You let your results speak for you. You stop chasing validation because you're connected to something greater. That's the power of a quiet mind. It doesn't need the world's approval. It already has divine affirmation. In silence, you begin to notice how much energy you've been wasting on things that don't matter. You start to see how much noise you've allowed into your soul. The opinions, the comparisons, the expectations, all of it cluttering your spirit. Silence helps you declutter. It resets your priority. It teaches you what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Because not everything that calls for your attention deserves your energy. You want to know peace? Learn to disconnect, unplug from the chaos. Go somewhere quiet. No phone, no music, no distraction. Just you and your thoughts. Sit there. At first, your mind will race. It'll try to fill the silence. But if you stay long enough, it'll calm down. And then you'll start to hear. You'll hear your spirit reminding you of what matters. You'll hear the guidance that's been drowned out by noise. You'll feel the presence of peace surrounding you like never before. That's what spiritual development looks like. It's not always loud. It's not always emotional. Sometimes it's just stillness, just breathing. It's just sitting quietly. as just sitting quietly and allowing your soul to realign. Because silence heals, silence restores, silence transforms. If you've been feeling lost, overwhelmed, disconnected, don't look for more noise to fix it. Seek silence. Turn down the volume of the world and tune into the whisper of your spirit. Because everything you need, the clarity, the direction, the peace, it's all waiting for you in the quiet. So take time every day to be still. Guard that time fiercely. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Don't let the chaos of the world invade the calm of your soul. The more time you spend in silence, the stronger your spirit becomes. And when your spirit is strong, no amount of noise can shake you. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's power disguised as peace. It's the space where God molds you, where your purpose matures, and where your soul breathes freely. The world may never understand the strength it takes to be still, but you'll know. Because in that stillness, you'll find yourself. And once you find yourself in the silence, you'll never lose your peace again. Forgiveness is one of the hardest yet most liberating acts of spiritual development. Most people misunderstand forgiveness. They think it's about excusing what someone did to them or pretending it didn't hurt. But forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about freeing yourself. It's about releasing the poison that bitterness injects into your spirit. Because as long as you hold on to resentment, you stay chained to your pain. You can't move forward spiritually while holding on to anger. Forgiveness is the bridge between pain and peace, between who you were and who you're becoming. I know it's not easy. Some of you have been betrayed, lied to, abandoned, or broken in ways words can't describe. You trusted someone with your heart and they shattered it. You gave your all and they gave you nothing in return. You expected love and got disappointment. And when that happens, your heart hardens. You start building walls to protect yourself. But those walls don't just keep people out. They keep healing out too. Forgiveness tears down those walls, not because they don't deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you forgive, you take your power back. You stop letting that situation define you. You stop giving your past control over your present. Unforgiveness keeps you stuck in yesterday's pain, replaying the same scene over and over. But when you forgive, you tell your soul, I refuse to live in this prison any longer. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you remember without letting it rule your life. You acknowledge the pain, but you choose peace over bitterness. There's a saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's the truth. Unforgiveness doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. It eats away at your peace, your joy, your energy. It turns your heart cold and your spirit heavy. You start seeing life through the lens of pain and everything becomes distorted. That's why forgiveness is spiritual freedom. It's like dropping a heavy bag you've been carrying for years. You don't realize how much has been weighing you down until you let it go. Forgiveness is also a reflection of divine love. Think about how many times you've been forgiven. By God, by others, even by life itself. None of us are perfect. We've hurt people too, sometimes knowingly, sometimes without realizing it. And yet, grace still finds us. When you choose to forgive, you align yourself with that same grace. You mirror divine compassion. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're spiritually strong enough to rise above pain. The real challenge of forgiveness is that it requires humility. It forces you to let go of your desire for revenge, your need to be right, your craving for justice. It teaches you that peace is more valuable than payback. Because sometimes waiting for an apology that may never come keeps you bound to the very person who hurt you. But forgiveness says, I release you not because you asked, not because I need to heal. You don't need closure from them. You need clarity within yourself. Forgiveness doesn't always happen overnight. It's a process, a gradual unburdening of the heart. Some days you'll feel free, and other days you'll feel the pain creeping back. That's okay. Healing is not linear. Every time you choose peace instead of bitterness, you're taking another step toward freedom. You're retraining your heart to let go. When you forgive, you create space for something new. Joy, love, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. You stop reliving the same emotional trauma. You begin to see life differently. You begin to understand that people often act from their own wounds. Hurt people. Their actions say more about their pain than about your worth. And when you realize that, forgiveness becomes easier because you see beyond the offense to the brokenness behind it. One of the most powerful things I've learned is that forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision. You may never feel like forgiving, but you can choose it anyway because emotions follow decision. When you choose forgiveness consistently, eventually your heart aligns with your choice. It may start with words you barely mean. I forgive you. But with time and persistence, those words start to carry truth. And don't forget, forgiveness isn't just about others. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You replay mistakes, bad choices, moments of weakness, and you punish yourself long after life has moved on. You say, I should have known better. I should have done more. But self-condemnation only keeps you stuck. You can't become the best version of yourself while constantly attacking the past version of you. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for the times you settled, for the times you ignored your intuition, for the times you broke your own heart trying to fix someone else. You can't heal while hating yourself. When you extend the same compassion to yourself that you give others, that's spiritual growth. You realize that you're not your mistakes. You're your lessons. Every wrong turn shaped your understanding. Every failure refined your wisdom. Self-forgiveness allows you to evolve without shame. It lets you move from regret to redemption. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It takes courage to look at pain and say, you don't control me anymore. It takes maturity to stop blaming and start releasing. You can't change the past, but you can change your relationship with it. That's the real power of forgiveness. It transforms pain into wisdom, wounds into wisdom, and brokenness into beauty. When you forgive, you make room for peace. You start sleeping better, thinking clearer, and feeling lighter. The anxiety fades because you're no longer fighting battles in your mind. Forgiveness aligns you with love, and love is the highest spiritual vibration. It attracts blessings, opportunities, and people who reflect that same peace back to you. Some of the most successful and fulfilled people in life aren't the ones who never got hurt. They're the ones who learned how to forgive quickly. They understand that holding grudges blocks blessing. They receive new things with a closed heart. Forgiveness opens you up to abundance, to purpose, to spiritual flow. If you want to grow spiritually, you have to let go emotionally. You can't ride while carrying resentment. You can't find peace while replaying pain. It's like trying to climb a mountain with rocks in your backpack. Every time you forgive, you drop a rock. And the higher you go, the lighter you become. That's why spiritual elevation requires emotional release. Forgiveness also teaches you trust, not in people, but in divine justice. You start believing that life balances itself out, that what's meant for you will come, and what's not will fade. You no longer need revenge because you trust that the universe, God, or karma handles things in ways you never could. That's spiritual maturity, releasing control and embracing faith. You might not get the apology you deserve. You might never hear the words, I'm sorry, but you don't need them to move on. Your healing doesn't depend on someone else's repenting. It depends on your decision to let go. Because forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's about remembering without pain. It's about learning without bitterness. So if there's someone you still haven't forgiven, maybe a parent, a friend, a partner, or even yourself, take this moment to decide. Say, I release this. I won't carry it any longer. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to call them. Just make that inner choice. Because once you do, you'll feel the peace flow in. You'll feel the weight lift. Forgiveness sets your soul free. It allows love to move through you again. It makes space for blessings that resentment blocked. And most importantly, it restores your connection with the divine. Because a bitter heart can't hear God clearly, but a forgiving heart beats in rhythm with grace. Let go of what hurt you, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Your peace, your growth, your future, they all depend on it. Stop letting yesterday's pain control today's peace. The moment you forgive, you win. You rise, you become untouchable. Because no one has power over a healed spirit. Forgiveness isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of freedom. And when you reach that place, you realize that everything that once broke you actually built you. Every wound taught you strength. Every betrayal deepened your faith. Every loss expanded your capacity to love. And in that truth, you find your peace. Faith is the foundation of every journey toward spiritual development. Without faith, the spirit becomes weak, the mind becomes doubtful, and the heart becomes heavy. Faith isn't just believing in something you can see. It's believing in something you can't see but can feel deeply within. It's trusting that even when life doesn't make sense, there's still purpose in the process. It's standing firm when everything around you is shaking. Faith is not about knowing what's next. It's about trusting who's leading you. Every great transformation starts with faith. When you decide to grow spiritually, you're stepping into the unknown. You're leaving behind what's comfortable to pursue what's divine. Sometimes it feels dark, lonely, and uncertain. But faith becomes your light in that darkness. It whispers, keep going, when everything in you wants to quit. Faith doesn't remove the obstacles, but it gives you the strength to climb them. There comes a time in everyone's life when logic fails. You've tried everything, planned everything, and still things don't go your way. That's where faith begins. Faith starts where human understanding ends. It's the bridge between your efforts and God's power. You can't grow spiritually if you only trust what you can control. Spiritual growth requires surrender, a deep belief that even when you can't trace God's hand, you can trust his heart. Faith isn't passive. It's not sitting around waiting for miracles. It's moving forward even when you can't see the finish line. It's showing up every day, doing your part, and believing rest will unfold in divine timing. Faith doesn't always change your situation immediately, but it always changes you. It strengthens your character, deepens your patience, and expands your perspective. When you live by faith, you learn to see beyond appearances. You stop focusing on what's happening to you and start focusing on what's happening through you. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes preparation. Every closed door becomes redirection. Faith transforms obstacles into opportunities. It doesn't say, oh, why is this happening to me? It says, oh, what is this trying to teach me? I remember moments in my life when I felt like everything was falling apart. Plans failed, people left, prayers seemed unanswered. But looking back, those were the times faith grew the most. Because when everything else was gone, all I had left was belief. I had to trust that there was a reason for the pain, a lesson in the loss, and a blessing on the other side of the storm. And every time I chose faith over fear, strength replaced weakness, peace replaced worry, and clarity replaced confusion. Faith doesn't mean you won't fear. It means you won't let fear control you. It's courage in motion. It's taking the next step even when your legs are shaky. When your legs are shaky. Faith says, I don't know how, but I know what'll happen. It's that unshakable confidence that your destiny is secure, even if the path looks uncertain. That's what separates those who rise spiritually from those who remain stuck. They keep believing when others stop. One of the biggest misconceptions about faith is that it guarantees an easy life. It doesn't. Faith doesn't prevent storms. It gives you peace in the middle of them. It doesn't promise a smooth journey, but it promises a meaningful one. True faith teaches you to find beauty in the struggle, purpose in the pain, and gratitude in the waiting. It helps you realize that sometimes delays are protection, and sometimes rejection is redirection. Faith also requires patience. We live in a generation that wants everything instant: success, instant peace, instant results. But faith doesn't work on your timeline. It works on divine timing. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. The waiting season isn't wasted. It's a preparation season. It's building your endurance, shaping your character, and refining your focus. Faith teaches you to trust the process, even when the process is painful. Sometimes faith will isolate you. People won't understand why you're still believing in something they can't see. They'll say you're unrealistic, naive, or foolish. But faith often looks foolish before it makes sense. Noah looked foolish building an ark before the rain came. Abraham looked foolish leaving home without knowing his destination. Faith always comes with risk. But that risk is where miracles are born. When you operate in faith, you begin to realize that life's challenges aren't there to break you. They're there to build you. They stretch your capacity, sharpen your focus, and strengthen your trust. Every obstacle you overcome through faith becomes a testimony that inspires others. That's why faith is contagious. It not only transforms your life, but it gives others permission to believe again. Faith also changes the way you pray. Instead of praying from desperation, you start praying from confidence. You stop begging for blessings and start thanking for promises. You realize that faith isn't about getting what you want. It's about aligning with what's meant for you. It's about trusting that whatever happens is for your highest good, even when it doesn't feel like it. You can't grow spiritually without faith because faith connects you to divine guidance. It opens your spirit to receive wisdom that your mind can't comprehend. It allows you to see purpose in pain and beauty in brokenness. Faith gives meaning to every experience, turning suffering into strength and loss into learning. Without faith, life feels random. With faith, everything feels connected. Faith doesn't mean you'll always get what you pray for. Sometimes it means accepting what you didn't want and believing there's still goodness in it. It means saying, even if it doesn't happen my way, I still trust the plan. That's mature faith, when your belief isn't dependent on blessings, but anchored in trust. You might be going through a season right now that's testing your faith. Nothing is working, doors are closing, and you feel like giving up. But understand this, faith is built in the waiting, not the winning. Every moment you keep believing when it's hard, your spirit grows stronger. Every time you choose hope over despair, your light shines brighter. Faith is not proven when everything is perfect. It's proven when everything is falling apart. And you still say, I trust. When you live by faith, you start experiencing peace that doesn't make sense. You stop needing all the answers. You stop overthinking. You stop trying to control everything. You begin to rest in the knowing that everything is working out exactly as it should. Faith allows you to sleep in the storm, smile in the struggle, and stand tall in certainty. That's the power of spiritual confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you're held, guided, and supported. Faith also deepens your gratitude. You start appreciating small signs, little miracles, quiet moments of grace. You begin to see how far you've come and how many times you were carried when you didn't even realize it. Gratitude and faith go hand in hand. The more thankful you are, the stronger your belief becomes. And the stronger your belief, the more blessings you attract. Faith isn't about religion. It's about relationship. A deep trust between your spirit and the divine is knowing that you are never alone, even when you feel isolated. It's walking through darkness with confidence that light will come. It's falling, but knowing you'll rise. It's losing everything, but realizing that what's essential can't be taken. Faith doesn't promise that life will be perfect, but it promises that you'll be equipped. You'll face storms with strength, challenges with courage, and pain with purpose. You'll stop seeing setbacks as punishment and start seeing them as preparation. You'll realize that faith doesn't change circumstances, it changes you. So no matter what you're facing right now, with the uncertainty, the heartbreak, the silence, hold on to faith. Even if it's small, even if it's shaky, keep believing. Because faith doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Even a mustard seed of faith can move mountains. Keep trusting, keep walking, keep believing that your story isn't over. Because every season of struggle eventually gives birth to strength. Every delay hides divine timing. Every unanswered prayer is making room for a greater blessing. Faith is the fire that keeps your spirit alive in the coldest nights. It's the light that never goes out, no matter how dark it gets. And when the day comes that your faith turns into sight, when what you believe finally manifests, you'll look back and realize that every tear, every delay, every test was worth it. You'll see that faith wasn't just something you had, it was something that carried you. It was your anchor in the storm, your compass in confusion, your peace in the chaos. That's the essence of spiritual development, learning to live by faith, not by fear, to walk by trust, not by sight, to believe in divine timing, not human logic. Because when faith becomes your foundation, no storm can shake you, no failure can break you, and no darkness can destroy you. You become unmovable, unshakable, unstoppable, because your strength doesn't come from what's around you, but from what's within you. Gratitude is the heart of spiritual development because it shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's wrong to what's right, and from what's lacking to what's abundant. Gratitude doesn't just change how you see the world, it changes the world you see. It's not just a feeling you experience when something good happens. It's a mindset, a spiritual lens. You choose to view life. When you live with gratitude, your entire energy changes. Your heart softens, your spirit lifts, and your soul finds peace even in the middle of chaos. Gratitude is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Truth is, many people spend their lives chasing happiness, thinking it's something that will come once they get more success, more money, more recognition. But gratitude teaches you that joy isn't found in accumulation. It's found in appreciation. You could have the whole world and still feel empty if you lack gratitude. And you could have very little and feel rich if you have a thankful heart. Gratitude transforms scarcity into sufficiency. It doesn't mean everything in your life is perfect. It means you decided to see perfection even in imperfection. Gratitude is powerful because it changes your vibration. When you start focusing on blessings instead of burdens, your energy begins to attract more of the same. You stop living in a state of complaint and start living in a state of contentment. You begin to see that every moment, even the painful ones, carries a gift. Gratitude helps you find light even in the dark. It doesn't deny reality, it elevates it. It says, yes, I'm going through something, but I still have breath. I still have hope. I still have another chance. When you wake up each morning and immediately focus on what's wrong, your day takes on that same energy. But when you start your day by saying a thank you, everything changes. Gratitude opens the door to peace, clarity, and abundance. It shifts your mind from survival mode to spiritual flow. You stop chasing, comparing, and complaining, and start aligning with a higher state of being. Because gratitude isn't just about saying a thank you. It's about living in awareness that every breath, every heartbeat, every sunrise is a gift. There have been times in my life when I lost things I thought I couldn't live without. Dreams didn't work out, relationships ended, opportunities slipped away. But over time, gratitude taught me that sometimes losing something is actually gaining something greater. Gratitude reveals that even in loss, there's learning, even in pain, there's purpose. When you start to look back at your hardest moments with a grateful heart, you realize they shaped you, refined you, and strengthened you. They didn't break you, they built you. Gratitude also frees you from comparison. In a world of social media and constant competition, it's easy to feel like you're not enough. You see other people's highlights and forget your own blessings. But gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that your journey is unique, your pace is perfect, and your blessings perfect, and your blessings are yours alone. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, envy disappears and peace takes its place. Gratitude shifts you from measuring your life by what others have to celebrating what's already in your hands. Spiritually, gratitude is an act of alignment. It connects you directly to the divine flow of life. When you give thanks, you're telling the universe, I trust you. I may not understand everything, but I'm grateful for the process. And that trust opens the doors to even greater blessings because gratitude multiplies what it touches. The more you thank, the more you receive to be thankful for. It's a divine appreciation attracts abundance. Gratitude also heals when your heart is heavy, when you're broken or lost. Gratitude brings light back into your spirit. It's like a balm for the soul. It doesn't erase pain, but it helps you see beyond it. It helps you focus on the strength you found, the love that surrounded you, the lessons that molded you. Gratitude doesn't ignore your struggles. It honors them by finding meaning in them. That's why the most spiritually grounded people are often the most thankful, not because they've had the easiest life, but because they've learned to find blessings in every chapter. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. You can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. Gratitude rewires your emotions. It replaces fear with faith, doubt with hope, and sadness with peace. When you focus on gratitude, you retrain your mind to see possibilities instead of problems. That's spiritual transformation in action. Not changing what happens to you, but changing how you respond to it. There's something sacred about gratitude because it humbles you. It reminds you that you're not the source of your blessings. You're the recipient. You're the recipient. It helps you recognize that grace has carried you further than your efforts ever could. Every breath, every moment of favor, every bit of protection you didn't even know you needed. It's all evidence of divine love. Gratitude keeps your spirit anchored in that truth. It keeps pride away and humility alive. Gratitude also teaches present. Most of our stress comes from living in the past or worrying about the future. But gratitude roots you in the now and says, this moment is enough. I have everything I need right here. When you practice gratitude, you stop missing life as it happens. You begin to notice the beauty in small things. A kind word, a smile, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter. You realize that happiness isn't in big achievements, but in quiet moments of awareness. Sometimes gratitude requires effort. It's easy to be thankful when everything is going well, but true spiritual growth happens when you can give thanks even in hardship. When you can look at pain and still find purpose, when you can face disappointment and still say, I thank you for the lesson. Shoot for the lesson. That's when your spirit becomes unshakable. Because gratitude in good times builds joy, but gratitude in hard times builds faith. You don't need everything to go right to be grateful. You just need to open your eyes and recognize that even now, you have more blessings than burdens. You woke up. You're breathing. You have opportunities to grow, to love, to try again. Those simple truths are miracles we often overlook. Gratitude doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it creates them. The more you focus on what's working, the more things begin to work. Gratitude also enhances your relationships. When you express appreciation, it deepens connection. It softens hearts and strengthens bonds. People thrive when they feel appreciated. So when you live from a place of gratitude, you naturally become more compassionate, more patient, more understanding. Gratitude turns relationships into sacred spaces of growth and love. In the spiritual journey, gratitude is the foundation of manifestation. You can't attract more until you appreciate what you already have. The universe responds to your vibration, and gratitude sends the highest frequency of all. When you live in constant complaint, you attract more chaos. When you live in gratitude, you attract peace, abundance, and opportunities aligned with your growth. Gratitude is not just a reaction, it's creation. It shapes your reality. Think about it. Every blessing you've received started with a moment of appreciation. The job you prayed for, the healing you experienced, the strength that carried you, they all multiply through thankfulness. Gratitude opens your eyes to divine timing. It reminds you that even unanswered prayers are blessings in disguise. Sometimes what doesn't happen for you is happening for you. When you make gratitude a daily practice, your entire life shifts. Wake up and write down 3 things you're thankful for. Say a thank you for what you once took for granted. Appreciate people out loud. Speak gratitude over your struggles and watch how they start turning into growth. Gratitude turns ordinary days into sacred experiences. Even science agrees. Gratitude rewires your brain. It lowers stress, boosts happiness, and strengthens your immune system. But beyond biology, it strengthens your spirit. Because when you're thankful, you can't stay bitter. When you're grateful, you can't stay small. Gratitude elevates you above negativity. It becomes your armor against doubt and your anchor in uncertainty. Gratitude is a choice. It's not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide to practice. Some days it will come naturally, and other days it will be an act of discipline. But every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you choose light over darkness. You choose peace over pain. As you walk your spiritual path, let gratitude be your compass. Let it remind you how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how blessed you already are. Because the more you count your blessings, the more blessings begin to count you. Gratitude doesn't just change your attitude, it changes your destiny. So wherever you are, whatever you're going through, take a moment right now and say, thank you. Thank you for the breath in your lungs, the lessons you've learned, the strength you didn't know you had. Thank you for the doors that opened, and even for the ones that closed. Because every single experience, joy or pain, has shaped you into who you are becoming. That's the power of gratitude. It transforms pain into purpose, scarcity into sufficiency, and chaos into clarity. It keeps your spirit grounded when life feels unstable. Gratitude turns what you have into enough and what you dream of into possible. And when you live with that level of awareness, you don't just survive, you thrive. You stop waiting for happiness and start creating it. You stop chasing miracles and start recognizing that life itself is one. There comes a point in every person's journey where you realize that all the running, all the chasing, all the proving has led you to one question: who am I becoming? Spiritual development isn't just about knowing the scriptures or saying the right prayers. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the person you were created to be, not just the person the world told you to be. And the 8th key to this journey is transformation through action, because growth doesn't happen in theory. It happens in the moments you choose faith over fear, obedience over convenience, and love over ego. A lot of people talk about wanting change, but very few actually commit to it. They read, they listen, they nod their heads, but when it's time to apply it, they freeze. Because transformation demands discomfort. You can't become who you're meant to be while holding on to who you were. You can't evolve while clinging to the same habits. The same mindset, the same minded's growth requires letting go. And that's one of the hardest parts of spiritual development. Because your old self doesn't want to die. Your ego will fight to stay alive. It will convince you that comfort is safety, that change is risky, that growth is unnecessary. But every step forward requires something to be left behind. When I started my journey of spiritual development, I had to let go of pride. I had to let go of that voice inside that told me I could do it all on my own. I had to admit that I needed help, that I needed guidance, that I needed connection. That was painful because ego hates humility. But humility is the birthplace of transformation. When you finally stop pretending you got it all figured out and you surrender to the process, that's when growth begins. You open yourself to new understanding, to new power, to divine direction that you couldn't see before. But transformation doesn't happen just by sitting still. You can't pray for change and then keep living the same way. You can't say, God, take me higher, and still carry the same weight that's been holding you down. Spiritual growth requires alignment. Your words, your beliefs, and your actions have to move together. Too many people say they want to be better, but their actions contradict their prayers. They say they want peace, but they stay in chaos. They say they want purpose, but they stay in distraction. They say they want faith, but they feed their fear. You can't walk into the new version of yourself if you're still feeding the old one. Real transformation requires discipline. It's not about one big leap. It's about daily steps. It's about doing the hard thing when no one's watching. It's about choosing integrity when compromise seems easier. It's about forgiving even when it hurts, loving when it's inconvenient, believing when it seems impossible. That's how spiritual muscles are built, not through comfort, but through consistent challenge. The same way you train your body in the gym, you train your soul through your choices. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, you grow stronger. Every time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you elevate your spirit. Every time you choose faith instead of doubt, you move closer to your higher self. The truth is, spiritual transformation is not instant. It's a process, a refining fire that burns away everything that doesn't serve your purpose. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you'll feel lost, confused, even broken. But in those moments, remember that breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning. A seed has to break before it grows. Gold has to go through fire before it shines. The caterpillar has to let go of the ground before it can fly. You can't skip the process. You can't pray for transformation and expect comfort. The very thing you're running from, the struggle, the pain you're running from, the struggle, the pain, the uncertainty shaping you. That's what's molding you into who you're supposed to be. Transformation also requires self-awareness. You have to be honest about where you are. You can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't grow past something you keep denying. Too many people wear masks because they're afraid of what others might think. But spiritual growth demands authenticity. You can't connect to your creator while pretending to be someone you're not. The more you hide, the more disconnected you become. But when you step into truth, even when it's ugly, even when it's uncomfortable, you make room for light to enter. You make room for healing. You make room for change. Transformation through action also means obedience to the inner voice, that divine whisper that guides you toward your higher calling. Sometimes that voice tells you to walk away from people you've known for years, to leave environments that no longer align with your purpose. It might tell you to take a leap that makes no logical sense but feels right in your spirit. That's scary, because obedience often comes before understanding. You don't always get the map. Sometimes you just get the next step. But when you trust and move anyway, that's when miracles happen. That's where new doors open. That's where faith becomes real. Many people pray for blessings, but aren't willing to make the sacrifices required to receive them. You can't ask for growth while holding on to everything that keeps you small. You can't ask for light while staying in the dark. Transformation demands that you walk away from what no longer feeds your soul. Toxic habits, draining relationships, limiting beliefs. And sometimes it means spending seasons alone. It means silence. It means reflection. Because before you can be filled with new wisdom, you must first be emptied of the old. And here's something powerful. Transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about uncovering who you truly are. It's about stripping away the lies, the labels, the fear, and the doubt until what's left is the purest version of you. The you that was created with purpose. The world will try to shape you into something else, but spiritual development shapes you back into yourself. It's not addition, it's revelation. And when you begin to live from that place of authenticity, everything changes. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop rushing and start trusting. You stop needing validation from others because you're validated by purpose. You stop chasing success and start living significance. Your energy shifts, your mindset shifts, your life shifts. And people will notice. They'll see a glow that can't be explained by status or possessions. That's the light of transformation. That's the reflection of spiritual development. But let me be clear. Transformation doesn't mean perfection. You'll still make mistakes. You'll still fall. The difference is, now you get back up with wisdom. You fail forward. You learn faster. You see setbacks as lessons instead of loss. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow deeper in faith, patience, and strength. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That's when you know you're evolving. That's when you know you're walking in spiritual maturity. There's something else too. Transformation through action means serving others. Once your spirit grows, it's not just for you. You're meant to pour that growth into others. You're meant to uplift, inspire, and guide those still searching. Because true transformation is contagious. When you live your truth boldly, it gives others permission to do the same. You become a vessel for change, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And as you grow, you'll realize that spiritual development isn't a destination. It's a lifelong journey. You never arrive. You just keep evolving, keep learning, keep becoming. Every season of life offers a new lesson. Every challenge refines you a little more. And every act of faith takes you one step closer to the highest version of yourself. So if you're in that season right now where everything feels uncertain, where the old no longer fits, but the new hasn't fully formed, don't give up. That's transformation in progress. That's your spirit stretching. Don't rush the process. Trust it. Every tear, every test, every trial is preparing you for what's coming. And when you come out on the other side, you won't just be stronger. You'll be wiser, deeper, and more connected than ever before. Because that's what spiritual development does. It transforms you from the inside out. It doesn't just change your life. It changes how you live it. It gives you peace when others panic, purpose when others drift, and power when others give up. You become a light, not because you never face darkness, but because you learn how to shine through it. That's transformation through action. That's the essence of spiritual development. It's about walking the talk, living your truth, and becoming the person God created you to be. One decision, one choice, one act of faith at a time.